Suzette, you're muted.
Hey! Okay. Hey everyone, Suzette West here. I am here with my good friend Brian and Can you please help me, Araik? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
You
Go ahead. Go ahead.
you got it. You said it perfectly.
Wonderful. So we're here because it's time to have a human conversation about money. It's a thing that affects us all. And one of the, I feel, is a really important conversation to have right now is how money can become an ally. And so I want to start first off by, hey, you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves, where you're from, how you, and what brought you to the conversation.
You can go first, Araik.
Sure. Good morning, good afternoon, Brian. I know you're East Coast. So my name is Araik, as the name tag says right there in the corner. And I met Suzette not too long ago. We really hit it off, and we got a chance to connect and communicate a little bit. And together we came up with the idea of maybe doing some lives and really talking about success and financial success and just success in all areas in life, and how to use money as a tool and how to make it work for you. And she told me a little bit about her background in real estate. I told her a little bit of my background in financial services. And then we decided that, hey, we need to bring this information to our audience and help them. Because what good is it knowing it all up here and not sharing what we have as gifts to the world? So that's why today we're on this call, and I'm excited. It's our first one, so looking forward to it.
Thank you
Hey,
so
my name is
much.
Brian Abramson. From Willingboro, New Jersey. My background is in the financial services industry, collection industry to be more specific. And I'm working my way out of it. I have a side business that is very lucrative and fun, and I love helping and serving families and small business owners. And it's more where my passion is versus collection industry. And I want to get out of the corporate squeeze and be my own boss and call my own shots and live the dream, which I'm on my way doing with a company that's been around since 1972, 51 years. We're in all 50 states and 5 provinces in Canada. And again, it's all about helping and serving the community and small business owners.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Brian and Araik.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So, a little bit about myself. I started out. So I'm originally from California, and I started out at 15 washing dishes at a local diner, and I was making just over the minimum wage, which was $3.35 at the time. So it was quite a while ago. And I remember when I was a teenager, really young teenage mom, and sometimes I'd have to drive through the really, wealthy neighborhoods. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what do you have to do to have a house like that? I mean, this is the kind of questions I found myself asking when I was young. And I was like, well, I'm smart enough. I know that if I put my mind onto something that I really love to do, that I can make it work and figure it out how this is possible. So eventually my life led me to real estate, which is what I got into in 1996. Got licensed in Las Vegas, Nevada. And that was a journey in and of itself to move through the learning curve, and finally opened up my own real estate investment company in 2002 and started doing rehabs and developing properties. And then I started investing in apartments. And I became a coach, stepped into the work of coaching by sheer destiny. It's a calling that I have. And regardless of that, I'm always going to be a real estate investor because I know that asset class. And I really want to share my knowledge from all the years that I've been a developer, working with real estate or as a realtor and a broker. So, so yeah, I just feel like we have a really nice combination here to talk about the money journey, because everyone's journey is different, right? We all start from different places. And we know there's people that say, yeah, I wanna do something. I want to start a business, or I want to make extra money, or I want to make money in Ally. Like, we want to talk about that because the fear in the market right now of all the uncertainty and tying our lives to the success of the economy. I mean, we have to, there is a way to navigate these economic waters and to be okay and to make money an ally regardless of what the economy is doing. And so I just want to really focus on a question of adding value by answering and speaking to the question, how can we make money an ally? How to make money an ally regardless of what the economy is doing. And I'll just put it out there, and any one of you guys can jump in on that one.
Sure. I guess, Brian, you can go ahead.
Well, one thing is, I know people always say that money is the root to all evil, but that's only how you see it. I heard this as well. Money makes good people better and bad people worse. So, money can be a great thing in your life. You need it like air and food, and I'm all for, working a job, but have a backup plan, because what if you're sick, retired, out of work? You should have a backup plan. Warren Buffett says if you don't have residual income in your life, you'll work till you die. So what I'm doing on the side involves making residual income. My mentor makes $300,000 a month residual income. And I can't even fathom that right now, but I'm working my way towards that and building a team in network marketing, which is much better than corporate America, because corporate America keeps the squeeze on you and you're only, can reach a certain level. With network marketing, it's unlimited. So I'm excited about my future. And back to you, Suzette.
Wonderful. So what was your first job? Like when you were old enough to start it, what was your first job?
I was actually a busboy in a restaurant.
Hey, we got two restaurant starters here. That's really awesome. So when you were at that age, did you have any aspirations or any ideas of like what you wanted to do or
I didn't at that time.
Nah, yeah, I didn't either.
I was only 16. I was able to leave with a 6-pack of beer from the restaurant.
Benefits. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about you, Araik? What was your first job?
Oh man. So I'll give you a little bit of background and then I'll get into the job stuff, I guess.
Sure.
I kind of grew up in this country, a year old when I came here. So I'm technically still the first generation immigrant. So I'm kind of proud about that now that I think of it. Most of us are immigrants, if not all of us are at least first or second generation in this country. And I'm glad you mentioned Warren Buffett earlier, because I believe that, to build some authentic wealth and not a couple hundred grand, not like a couple hundred, like we're talking like a couple hundred million, right? To get to that point, it's hard to do it in one lifetime, and there are some phenomenons that happen that you get there in one lifetime. But most people don't understand that the average person can create that for their family. It just
You're muted.
Yeah. Most people don't understand that you don't have to be Warren Buffett to create that kind of wealth, and most average folks can actually, just by sheer straight up financial planning, retirement planning, generational wealth, estate planning, like taking care of that stuff, within a matter of 2-3 generations, you can be sitting on what we like to call today trust funds, right? And create trust fund babies. And so it's all possible. It's just a matter of kind of doing the right things with money and making money in Allah, like we're talking about today. So I grew up in this country, first generation immigrant, came here from Armenia right after my parents fled the collapse of the Soviet Union, and we settled here in California, and we haven't moved since. But it's really a privilege to be in America, the most successful, wealthiest, richest country in the world. And at the same time, it's a tragedy watching so many people go about life and taking it so casually and becoming casualties at the end of the day. It's almost as if like most people are trying to safely arrive to their death, right? So it's nice to, like Brian, you mentioned, it's nice to have a comfy job, but that's all it is, really. There's no such thing as job security. It's just job comfort at that point, especially now with so many things going on in the economy, people getting laid off, and the corporate squeeze really setting in on some folks. So my first job, I what was my first job? My first job was for a company that's no longer around. It used to be a computer store called Comp USA. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I worked at Comp USA for about 3 to 6 months, right before they didn't go bankrupt. I think they tried to pivot to online, and that was right around the time when Circuit City was going down, and Best Buy was emerging as one of the leading retailers, and online was really taking off as far as e-commerce and online retail goes. So I worked at CompUSA for a couple months. And while I was there, I realized that I had a pretty natural talent of computers and doing that sort of thing. So I started venturing off my own, talking to friends and family about their computers, and going to one of my family friends' businesses and saying, hey, let me redo all of your computers here and put you up in something newer and fresher. And so that kind of started my journey towards entrepreneurship. I never saw myself really working for anybody. So 16, 17 years old, I was going to small businesses and doing their networking, doing their computers. And so at a very young age, I started earning income by providing service rather than exchanging my time for money. And so that kind of put a nice taste in my mouth. And I when I got to college age, university age, I was studying to become an engineer in construction, right? So don't ask me why I chose that career. I guess my parents wanted me to do architecture or something, and I decided last minute to switch to engineering. Don't remember why, but to be honest with you, I was just going to that school to make my parents happy, because I was already making I was making good money on the side doing my own thing. So went to school, graduated, got a degree, started doing MBA business courses, because I had I instead of 4 years, I finished in 5. So I had a couple units to take, and I had an entire year of just doing nothing that I could use to take some additional classes for masters. And so I started taking these MBA courses, right? So I'm sitting there in the back, a cocky little 20-year-old kid, thinking to myself, like, do these teachers really own any businesses that they're up on this platform and professing to me about business this, business that? And so I would make it a habit to ask every single one of my professors, hey, can you tell me more about what business you've been in? And none of them, believe it or not, the maybe 6 or 7 professors I had that year, none of them owned a business and had any clue about running a business. So that kind of threw off some bells in my head. Like, we're sitting here in these classes learning from people that have never run a successful business in their life. So fast forward, got to the corporate world, like you mentioned, Brian. Worked for another year in construction as a project engineer, and hated it because I was already doing so many things on the side to make money through sales and through service that really it was kind of like how do you call it? Not a culture shock, but like a inside kind of like my soul, that it wasn't sitting right to have a boss. I felt like I didn't need to have a boss, so I quit that job. Quit that job, parents were like, "You're crazy. What are you doing? You should do this. You should do that." And then so one day, I was still living with my parents at the time. So one day they came home, and they saw that good old Araik took the hammer and the drill to the walls, and literally I tore down the entire house to remodel the whole thing. So parents come home from work one day, they're like, "What is going on here? Why is our house all torn apart?" So I spent about 6 months remodeling my parents' home just so I could prove to them that, hey, I didn't waste 4 or 5 years in school. I actually learned something. And in that time, while I was doing this remodeling stuff, someone walked into my home, sat my family down, taught us, explained to us the importance of financial planning, generational wealth, insurance, investments, and these are things that, trust me, coming from my parents are from Soviet USSR, times, and there's no retirement planning that back then. There's no investments. What are you talking about? Everyone gets the same thing. It's all about equality, but everyone's doing deals under the table, trying to make a leg up on the next one. That's how it was over there. So coming to America and understanding, well, wait a second, all this stuff you have to plan for. My parents thought 401k was some kind of a marathon. I'll just leave it at that, right? So clueless, totally about money. And fortunately and unfortunately, fortunate enough that now it's my turn to, I guess, take the flag and become that person in the family who changes the destiny forever, and sets it on the track for generational wealth. That's the fortunate part. Unfortunately, I'm not a trust fund baby, so now I get to create some trust fund babies. But yeah, they sat us down, explained some things to us. At first, it kind of flew over my head because I was a young 23, 24, 5-year-old kid, didn't understand anything. It was all about partying at the time for me. But after maybe 2 or 3 visits to that subject, I took a hard look at the information. I said, "Why? Well, wait a second. Let's look at my family, both successful doctors in this country, successful medical professionals, working very hard, making 6 figures every year. But why on earth are these people still broke? Why do they have nothing to show for it, right?" And so, God bless them. They raised two healthy young adults, me and my sister. But unfortunately, no one held their hand and said, "Hey, you should." Something as simple as you make 100 grand, put 10 grand aside so you can invest it and grow it and become financially free. And so until today, both of my parents, they're close. One of them is past 60, the other one's close to 60. They're still working, and they gotta work, right? And so they can't stop working because they can't afford to, unfortunately. So now it's my job to retire my parents and build generational wealth for the next of kin, next set of little ones coming up. So that's kind of my story. That's how I got into financial services.
I love your story, Araik.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Brian.
that was really awesome. Thank you for sharing. And so I love hearing the different ways that we got started, and you make a very good point that we have to plan for the way we want to, for what we want in our lives, right, financially. And you're absolutely right. We don't get that kind of education in schools, at least not when I was in school.
Nope.
And it's so vitally important, because without that education, how we won't know how to provide for ourselves, to plan for the end, the later part of our years, and also to be able to sustain and live and thrive while you're alive, not wait until you're too old to do anything with it. So there's a balance. So one of the things I learned first, early on, was that there's 2 kinds of income. Does anyone want to talk about active and passive income and the difference? Does anyone want to take that one?
Sure. Well, there's leveraged income where you work for somebody, you get paid for your time. And then there's residual income, where you do something one time and get paid on it forever, which that's part of the company that I'm with. We have residual income. And then we have override income as well, where, you build a team, and, just like being a real estate broker or insurance broker, and you own the company and you have insurance agents and real estate agents, they go out there, and when they sell a house or sell some insurance, you get a piece of it. So that's much better than leveraged income.
Leveraged income. That's very interesting. And then there's also two classifications of income. There's active income, and then there's passive income. And one of the things about you hear a lot about passive income, and you hear it everywhere from just about any syndicator in the world is going to be talking about passive income, because that's what they help generate for their limited partners, which a limited partner is someone who is investor or invested in a project, but they're not actively participating in the management. So they're just passively investing and then just getting distributions quarterly or whatever the agreement is. Now, here's the thing, what a lot of people don't understand is you really can't benefit from passive income too much until that active income is resolved, because active income is what you use to is what we use to survive on. And when we have a surplus of active income, in other words, we're taking care of our living expenses, we're taking care of all of the necessities, and we're having a surplus, that surplus becomes what we can invest with. And I feel like before we start jumping into investments, we have to first invest in ourselves, because that is the only way we're going to know what to invest in, is to invest in ourselves first, because we have to realize what it is that we want to do. What are we passionate about? Like, some people love real estate, and there's so many facets in real estate. There's multifamily, there's retail, there's office, right? Then you've got like Brian was mentioning, leveraged income. There's other ways to make income besides trading time for dollars, which is what we have been doing for a long, long time. And how I came into the world, my family was in that mindset of trading time for dollars. And we really, especially when we really come to rely on the belief that we go to school, we get good grades, we get a good job, and then we grow old, and then at the end we're going to be taken care of, but it's not guaranteed. That's the thing here. It's not guaranteed. It's up to us to act in accordance to what we want, to then say, okay, first of all, what do I want? What kind of life do I want to live? And what kind of things do I like to do? What kind of value do I have that I can create value and serve a market that needs this solution? So there's a lot of self-reflection and thinking about, like, what am I good at? But it's that, how do you upskill? If investing in ourselves, first of all, to upskill in order to then, but first you got to figure out, what do I like to do? What do I love to do? What am I good at that other people are not so good at? And you know what's so funny? We can be so excellent in something and take it for granted that nobody would value it because it's so easy for us. And yet there's somebody out there that probably needs what you do, and it's not easy for them, but they need help with it. And they'll never know who you are because you never took the time to do that inner work and figuring out, what am I good at? What can I do? What are the problems out there? And how can I create value? How can I create a solution that fills a need in the market after doing an assessment on oneself based on this problem, based on what I see going on? Here's where I think I can provide value. Now you're getting closer. Now you're getting away from the mindset of trading time for dollars, which is a really hard one to break, because a lot of us, especially in the as employees in a companies, we come into this world being with the traditional knowledge of go to work, get good grades, get a job, be there for 40 years, and you're going to be fine. That is a myth. It is not. It's no
Sure.
longer relevant. Does anyone want to dovetail off of that?
Plus, most people work 50, 60 hours a week and have no time freedom, no financial freedom. Even if they do have financial freedom, they don't see their family. So, it's not good. You want to have time freedom and find something that can get you out of corporate America and so you can see your family.
Have you guys read the book? I'm sure you have, by Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Of course.
You
Yep.
know, cash
Yep.
flow quadrant. So
Yep. Yep.
uh, if they only did, orientation in universities and just showed that one slide and said cash flow quadrant, here's choose your lifestyle, I guarantee you there would be like maybe 90% of all the majors in school would be done in 10 years, 5 years even.
Yeah, and what was that
So
in the book? That thing in the part of what you just mentioned, Eric, it was that there's something in the book that talks about the E sector being the
right.
highest
So if
taxed
you break
quadrant.
Correct. If you and I want to mention, I mentioned that for another reason, because you're talking about active and passive income. It's the quadrant, right? E, S are on the left side, and then the other side is B and I. So E stands for employee, S stands for self-employed, B stands for business owner, I stands for investor, right? So everything on the left side, E and S, this is your active income. Everything on the right side, B and I, this is your passive income. So to create passive income, it's really simple. You got to be in business, period. There's no other way to create passive income. You either got to own a business that has a system that generates cash flow without you, or you got to invest in businesses that are making cash flow without you, right? So that's why, you own a share of Apple, they pay you a dividend, you earn some interest, that's passive income, baby. Or you got a business like Brian mentioned, you got a system that generates residual income, override income, you have agents, you're growing, you have opportunities to make money without your personal effort. Hey, that's passive income. What happens is on the left side, right, with employees and self-employed, one challenge I see is for self-employed people, a lot of them think they're business owners. They're not. Second they go on that 2-week fishing trip, business is down the drain. And of course, employees, they're carrying the majority of the weight of our entire economy, right, being taxed to down to their bones. And it's really hard to get away from taxation when you're on W-2 income. So the most basic baby step you can take as an employee is to start a side hustle and get some great tax exemptions, tax deductions as a 1099 earner. That way, if you make 100K and are paying 30 to Uncle Sam, you can maybe reduce that tax bill down to 5K. And now you got an extra 20 to 25 grand to make your investment, to put it into to some business. That's the most simple kind of basic thing that you can do. And like I mentioned, if they only just shared, if they told you in school, let's learn about lifestyle, you choose what kind of lifestyle you want before you go down and choose a major or a career, I guarantee you there would be way less doctors, way less lawyers, way less engineers. There would be a lot more people in business. And not to say that entrepreneurship is easy. Believe me, if the truth was out there about entrepreneurship, there would be way less entrepreneurs too. But I think we need more entrepreneurs now than ever. I think the 40-40-40 plan, where you go to you work for 40 years, then you retire on 40% of your income, that model is broke. Since the 70s they've been getting rid of that model. That's why they got rid of pensions. That's why they introduced 401ks and the average 401k balance. Now look at it. It's people at 60 years old got 200,000 in 401k savings. That's barely a year and a half's worth of living in California. So it's sad, and so people need to wake up. They need to realize that we all have the same 24 hours in the day. You eat, you sleep for 8 hours, you work for 8 hours. What are you doing for the other 8 hours? You got to work on building your dream and making your fortune. Spend 8 hours making a living, spend the other 8 hours making your fortune. That's how I see it.
Jim Rohn says, work your job Monday through Friday, but what do you say? Work spare time, nights and weekends building your fortune.
Yes, absolutely. The great Jim Rohn.
Yeah, I really like Jim Rohn too. Very, very. What does he say? Don't wish it was easier.
Wish you were better.
Wish to be better. Yeah, and that's exactly what we're talking about right now. Because
Yep.
this money journey is the first thing is we have to take responsibility, personal responsibility for our own money journey. No matter how we started, we have to take personal responsibility. We have to get educated about money and how it works and how it grows and how to stop trading time for dollars.
Well, one thing is people would rather have a job and be told what to do than have a business on the side. It's okay, have your job, but find a side hustle part time. I mean, imagine what an extra 1,500 to 1,000 a month can do, for your family. That could change. It could change your zip code. It could buy a better car. So many things. Just with inflation, gas prices anymore, they talk about don't even buy a car. They say eat all your veggies and stop buying meat and buy more plant-based food because that'll cut your cost.
Wonderful.
Buy,
Yeah.
don't rent.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of entertainment subscriptions you're not using.
Right.
You know, consider investing, and then, like we were talking about, have a side hustle.
Yeah, and there's so many side hustles. It's really looking into opportunities and really looking under the hood and asking a lot of questions and determining which side hustle is right. What and that again that goes back to what can I do? What gifts do I have? What resources do I have? What do I have available to me to create value and give a fair exchange of value, energy, right? Because money is an energy. What can I do in the market and how would I have to show up? And what does that mean? I mean, there's all these little pieces, but the answers are there. As long as we drop into that part of us that, okay, what do I want to do? What do I need? And then who's my team? Because anything worthwhile, there is a team driving it. This is not so just like anything worthwhile in the world, you do this with people and we do this collectively. We find our team. Even so, for example, a real estate developer. What I do? So I need a contractor, and then I have subcontractors. I have a general contractor, and then I have subcontractors. And each subcontractor has a different thing that they do. Some do the plumbing, some do the electrical, some do the there's different trades. And so when you're talking about a money team, you have to know what your money team looks like. And if that includes a side hustle, who are your allies in that side hustle? Because it matters. It matters who's on your team. If you don't have A players on your money team, you're going to have, it's not going to go very far if there's no alignment. And so doing things by yourself is not practical. There's a team somewhere. You name it, there's a team that is going to be working with you to drive the success. And so on that note, why don't we talk about, let's talk about the financial planner as part of the money team. Let's talk about some opportunities that could be extra money, like what Brian has. Let's talk about that. What does teamwork look like on a money team, starting with Araik?
Sure, absolutely. Just to touch on a point that Brian mentioned earlier in the call, I think team starts from you down, I guess. But what I want to talk about is you up, which is what Brian mentioned earlier. It's about mentorship. And so if you want to find success in any department in life, seek out mentorship. Find somebody who is unequivocally interested in your success. Whether it has to do with their success or not doesn't matter. Even better, if they profit off of your success, even better. That means they're more inclined to help you.
Yep.
And so find a mentor that you are passionate about, that you really connect with, that he's willing, or he or she is willing to help you, and get aligned, and just follow the footsteps, right? It's like having a parent in any aspect of your life, whether it's a spiritual mentor, financial mentor, a business mentor. Just find someone who you can piggyback off of. That'll set you ahead of 90% of the game, because believe it or not, even before, I'll use myself as an example. I didn't even know what it meant to have a mentor before I got one, right? And I was going through life just winging it, trying to make it happen on my own. And then once I started working with a group of people that, they wanted me to succeed more than I saw myself wanting to succeed, it changed the trajectory of my path. So before you build your own team, become a good follower, and learn from somebody who's been there and done that. And that doesn't mean you have to copy them verbatim. You're not. You're going to take maybe 50-60% of what they're doing, and the other 40-50% you're going to create your own. And that's where you start to now build your team out, and work with people that you're seeking out, and they're seeking you out, and now maybe you can be in a position to mentor those people. So that's where I want to touch up on, as far as team building goes. But one of the most important things, I think, for success in business is to learn all of the skills that they don't teach us in school. And you mentioned one of them, which is financial education. So ding, 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 right there. If there's a big need out there for people to learn about money, maybe you could start a business, or get into a business that prides itself on teaching people about money, or at least helping them with the money situation, right? But some other soft skills, or they're not even soft skills, they're just life skills, I think you got to learn, is number one, learn how to sell. Because whether you believe it or not, whether you like it or not, whether you think you're good at it or not, you're doing it anyway. Every day you're doing it. So might as well learn how to do it consciously. Might as well learn how to do it properly, so you could use it to your advantage. When we're born, right from the moment we come out of the womb, we throw out a cry, we throw out a tear, and guess what? This is selling. Hey, mommy, come feed me. Hey, mommy, come carry me. We're doing it already. And the other thing is learn how to build, right? Learn how to recruit, and retain people, and become a good leader. And so, again, skills that they just don't teach us in school. So learn how to recruit, learn how to sell, stop exchanging your time for money, or keep doing it while you're learning how to sell and build, and then start a hustle on the side. Two great industries that you can always get into. We're talking about them today. Real estate is one of them. Insurance is another. I'll throw in another in there. Mortgage and lending. Just anything where it's really easy. The bar of entry is like a couple $100 for a license, maybe some soul searching, or some finding a company or a mentor that will take you under their wing. So all you need is a few $100 and to find the right mentor. And hey, you're on your way to creating a second or third source of income that could, like Brian mentioned, that extra $500, $1,000, $1,500, that'll definitely change your life. So instead of having to shrink your lifestyle to fit into your income, you can expand your lifestyle. So that those are my kind of two, three little nuggets for our audience today.
Yeah, I love that.
Great. I love it. That's right on the money. My mentor talks about the same thing right there.
Yeah. It's awesome.
If you find a good mentor that has a financial interest in your future, use him as much as you can, and be coachable.
And I would like to also add that it's really important to be very careful. I mean, you have to make sure, like what Araik was saying and Brian was saying, make sure that this mentor has an interest, that they care. Because if they don't care, they're not going to have your back. They could care less about you. And that's why it's really important that if you're going to invest with a mentoring program, make sure that mentor and their teams are going to have your back. Otherwise, you may find that you're wasting your money, or for whatever reason, the culture doesn't align, which happens. And what I don't want to see is for people to waste their money. So it is worth the investment up front to get to know the mentor, to get to know the culture, to talk to the people who have been in the culture for a while. And I mean, talk to everyone. Don't just talk to the people who are the go-to cheerleaders, because that's not going to help you when you find out that it's not what you thought. And that is when money becomes a waste. If results aren't produced, and usually it's because someone didn't care, namely the mentor or the coach. So I really want to drop that in there, because it's so easy to think that you are having a mentor or a coach. A real mentor, a real coach, they care. They care about your future. They care about your success. It's not words. It's not lip service. It's energy. And energy never lies. Energy never lies. So mentoring, yes, I've invested in mentoring. I will continue to invest in mentoring as an ever evolving human being. But I'm also going to be careful. I'm going to make sure absolutely that this mentor or coach has my back. And that is what an A player is. So when I'm talking about the quality of the team, the quality of the money team, everyone on the team cares about your success. That's why they're on your team. So the money team is so important to as a filter. Does the energy of this person, does it feel like they really care about my success? That's a really, really important question. Does anybody want to jump in on that one?
Yeah, well, there's a line out there Zig Ziglar said, or I think it's Zig Ziglar. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
And you just reminded me of that, what you were saying.
Yeah, when people don't, when there is not an aspect of caring, it's like, and you're not going to get the results.
And people can feel it. If you're just
Yes.
talking and you're fake, people can feel you're phony.
Yes, you know when someone's on your side because they're like, you got this. Hang in there. Keep going. Keep doing. You're getting closer. As opposed to, I don't have time for you. I don't have time for you. I don't have time for you. There's an energy in that. So when someone is all in for you, you're going to feel that support. And that support, when you have it from your team, when your team fully supports you like that and they care, you feel it. And that adds a level of confidence that you will not otherwise have without that kind of support behind you. And that's the kind of support you want behind you when you're talking about the money team. But before you put together your money team, you got to know what it is what is your money journey? What is your money plan? Because that money plan is going to determine your journey. It's going to determine your team. It's going to determine a lot of things. So it's got to happen. Getting really clear on what you want, and getting really clear on how you're going to do it, and getting clear on getting clear. If you need coaching around that, there's life coaches that will help you get clear. But it's worth the investment to get clear, because that's when you're really going to get anchored in. That's when money really becomes an ally. That's when money really becomes an ally. And we've got 7 minutes left, y'all. Can you believe time just flies?
I'd like to not just promote, but this is a book by my mentor Brian Carruthers. It's Building an Empire, and this is not just a book; it's a manual on how to build a business. Because he's a foster mentor, not just for our company, for all businesses, and his background was in the real estate industry.
See, I love real estate. Like, I don't care what I'm doing, and in my active income, I am always going to be owning and buying properties and finding really amazing people to collaborate with and do projects together with. That's what I'm doing. Real estate's part of my makeup. Money Mindset. I love that.
There's
Is that
another.
also is
Yeah,
that
by Brian Carruthers.
very cool? Money Mindset. That's a pretty cool book. I love it. I
Thank you.
love it. Thank you so much for
Thanks for
sharing.
These
sharing
are
that,
all
Brian.
top-selling books on Amazon.
Very cool. I love it. Yeah, and that's another way to invest. Money is we spend time or we spend money. If we don't have a lot of money and we have more time, books are just wonderful because part of my journey early on was all I could do was books because that's all I had. I didn't have a lot of money. So I had a lot of more time than I did money. And I dove into books, and that started my journey. Was one of the really impactful books that really started me on the right direction was this book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People
Covey,
by Stephen
yeah.
R. Covey, and The Speed of Trust, and then Caroline Myss, Anatomy of the Human Spirit, all
Hmm.
about energy, all about energy. Energy, like
Yeah.
everything is energy. Money is an energy. What we put out, we attract. That is so true.
It is.
You know?
Araik, I'm sure you probably have Audible app. You can that Building an Empire book. You can just use one of your credits to
I
it.
just I just added it to my Amazon cart, so
I'm
Awesome.
getting it
I'll
too.
check
I had
I'm
a
it
getting
out.
it
I had a
too.
feeling you were doing that.
One book you can't get on Amazon. I'm gonna recommend to the both of you. You probably find it on eBay or something. It's a banned book, so you know it's a good one. It's called "The History of Central Banking," and the author was Goodson, I believe, Stephen Goodson. Let me see, History of Central Banking.
Awesome. I'm gonna look that up.
And that's about the Federal Reserve banking.
Correct. So
I know
fractional reserve banking system.
my barber talks about that to me all the time.
OMG.
So it's an incredible book. Just walks you through the history of the last couple thousand years of how money has been used as a tool by smart people. I try not to, what you mentioned earlier, right? Money is not the root of all evil. The love for money is, right? And so some of those folks are definitely evil to the bone. But it just talks about how money has been used as a tool for such a long time, and what we have as the banking system today is just a result of that. So people don't realize that they themselves can become the bank, and so either there's a good quote, I think, by Einstein. He says, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. If you're earning, either you're earning it or you're paying it, right?
Yeah.
So people got to learn how to earn compound interest if they want to get ahead, or not even just get ahead, but stay ahead, stay with, at least keep pace with inflation. And so read that book. You guys will have a fun time learning about banking, central banking. It's scary, but at the same time, it's eye opening. So
Thanks,
I would,
Araik. I'll
I would
get that
suggest
book.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
And
thank
it's been
you.
my pleasure meeting you and being here, Suzette. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
my
thank you.
pleasure.
And I just want to, yeah, and thank you, Araik. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for joining me on this experiment, because this was a collective experiment that we just wanted to jump on here and just talk about, talk real about money. Talk, don't stop all the jargon and all the technical crap and just, let's talk about money for real. Let's talk about the human side of money and our stories and sharing, and not as experts, but as fellow human beings who want and embrace our shared humanity, and we want to see people thrive.
Absolutely.
So if you, and I'm talking to the audience now, if you found value in this conversation, I'm gonna ask you to let me know. You can DM me. Maybe I'll put up a poll. We'll see. I'll figure it out how to get the feedback. But if you found value in this conversation, we want to bring it to you. Want to find out some feedback. We can bring it to you weekly. We can bring it to you monthly. But we want to get your feedback to co-create this journey, because we can keep this going if everyone feels good about it. So we got 2 more minutes, and we're going to end exactly to be respectful of everyone's time. Does anyone want to say some last words before we close out?
I guess let me start by thanking you, Suzette, for putting this together. You've done an incredible job. Some final thoughts. We were talking last about what were we talking about? The books, right? So, if you don't have any money, I'm all for learning and investing in yourself. But that doesn't mean, spend a couple $1,000s and go to a Tony Robbins seminar for, three days of rah rah, get excited, and then have no platform to execute on. So, um, if you're looking for education, start with the books. It's a very affordable way to get into the minds of some of the most successful people in the world. And then beyond that, if you want the same type of energy and hype and rah-rah, but with a platform to execute on, look into network marketing. Because I'm glad Brian mentioned earlier that he is in network marketing. It's one space where you'll find mentorship, you'll find coaching and training, you'll find these massive events that they get you energized, pumped up, ready to go out and conquer the world. But on top of that, you have a platform to execute on. It's not just a seminar that you paid thousands of bucks for, and then you come home and you think to yourself, okay, what now? Right? So look into network marketing. It might be a good segue into a second, third source of income, or look into getting a license in one of the industries I mentioned earlier. And yeah, I'd be happy to keep this conversation going. Let's get some feedback from the audience. And
hey, Araik, I sent you a LinkedIn request, so I want to connect with you. That would be great. My final thoughts is, if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll keep getting what you're getting. So it's time to make a change. If you're sick, fed up with where your life is, seek out a mentor, like Araik was saying. That's perfect advice. And find something that you'd like to do on the side and go to it. It's not going to be easy. To be financially independent is definitely not easy. That's why only 1% of the people make it. But as long as you don't quit, quitters never win and winners never quit. They finish what they start. So
I love that. That is awesome, Brian. I love that.
Never compare your success to someone else's. Just keep going.
I love that. I love that you just said that. Comparison. That is a motivation killer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stop selling, start solving.
Yes. Thank you so much. So, all right, y'all. So after this broadcast, we'll get everyone to drop their links in the comments so you can reach out to either Brian or Araik or me, and we can continue the conversation. If you did find value, we are happy to continue doing this and bringing this conversation and keeping it going, because our motivation is to inspire transformation, financial transformation through financial education, through sharing and caring, which we're not going to see, that's a rare one. We're here to care and inspire and bring value. So with that, thank you so much. This is Suzette, Brian, and Araik with this new conversation, Meaningful Money. Let us know if you want us to keep it going, and I'll be reaching out to a lot of my connections to see if you want us, this team here, to keep it going. Yeah, we'll make it happen. All right.
Sounds good, everybody.
Take care, Rick.
Thank you,
everyone.